Thank you all for being here today. I would also just like to again appreciate it, as well as the rest of our federal and state elected leadership that are here, just champions for the state of Florida, but especially very much appreciated champions for NASA and our world-changing mission. So for over 250 years, America's led and inspired the world with our accomplishments. Decades past, all happened because of the brave men and women that made the decision to take on the incredible, the near impossible challenges and succeed. That is our mandate at NASA, and I assure you, we are not slowing down. President Trump has empowered every government agency to pursue the exciting, the big, bold, ambitious ideas that made America the greatest country in the world, and that is exactly what we are doing at NASA right now. Over the last few months, we have revealed some of the most incredible missions of science, exploration, and discovery in NASA's history. The Artemis II voyage around the moon was just the beginning. We are accelerating the Artemis program. In fact, Artemis III rocket is being stacked right now in the vehicle assembly building, and following that flight, we will return American astronauts to the lunar surface in 2028. Now, alongside that effort, we are building the first outpost on another world, a moon base. And we are still doing all the other things. We are pioneering freedom to finally get America underway on nuclear power in space, a small step towards a nuclear NASA that will see American astronauts, like those that are joining us today in the T-38, we got Raja and Denise there, that have brought this NASA T-38 here, where again, we'll see the day where American astronauts, NASA astronauts, may plant the stars and stripes on planet Mars. Aerospace capabilities, the talent of NASA has helped pioneer. That's why it is my great privilege to announce today, Max Power.
Go for launch. Full send.
President Trump's administration is all about bringing back the big, bold endeavors that once defined American exceptionalism.
That's one small step for man.
And NASA is very much on board. On November 7th, NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida, will kick off Max Power, a two-day event showcasing the best of American innovation in air and space, right here on American soil. Will be there, behind-the-scenes experiences, one hell of an air show, and maybe even a rocket launch or two. As we honor America's 250th birthday, Max Power will help set the stage for the next 250 years of American engineering greatness. Together with our collaborators, this will be an event remembered for generations.
We sure know how to make a hype video, I'll tell you that. So as you just saw, November 7th and November 8th, NASA's Kennedy Space Center will open what was the once restricted and certainly historic shuttle landing facility to the interested public and host this multi-day celebration featuring world-class air shows, tech demonstrations, space exhibits. We're going to have science experiments, simulations, and as I mentioned in the video, maybe even a rocket launch or two. Now, for those 2 days, the American people will be able to see the future taking shape in front of them. As we celebrate 250 years of American leadership, Max Power will give visitors demonstrations of next-generation hardware that could one day be operating on the lunar surface, travel through deep space, or contribute to missions that we have not even yet imagined. There will be performances from the Department of War aircraft, including the United States Air Force Thunderbirds will be here, NASA's aeronautics portfolio, as well as others, pilot or an astronaut, and contribute to humanity's absolute greatest adventure. This is how the next generation really begins their journey. NASA is bringing a showcase of American technological leadership across air and space back to U.S. soil. We are setting the stage for exhibitions at Kennedy Space Center that could redefine the way aerospace companies conduct business, highlight their capabilities, and inspire the next generation of future explorers. Max Power 2026 is just the beginning, and we welcome you all.
Director Brian Hughes, a Florida native, Air Force veteran, former national security official, and former NASA Chief of Staff, Brian brings extensive experience to his role leading two of NASA's key facilities. Welcome, Brian.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks, everybody. This is an exciting day. And just remember, the weather in November is a lot less dynamic here than it is in August. Since JFK's inspirational challenge in the early days of NASA and America's space program, Kennedy Space Center has been at the heart of our nation's leadership in space exploration. Here at KSC, the eyes of the world witnessed a few daring men leave our planet and venture to the unknown territory on the surface of the moon. From here, Space Shuttle Columbia took its maiden flight, commencing a human spaceflight program that would span nearly 3 decades. From KSC, the people and materials for the International Space Station began what is now a constant American presence in Earth's orbit for now over 25 years. From right here, NASA and our commercial partners are launching the hopes and dreams of the nation as we pave the way to a future of long-term human presence in deep space on the moon and beyond. This iconic location and the people who work here have literally written the most transformative chapters of our nation's history. We have the historic launch facilities and pads here at Kennedy Space Center, as well as with our partners at Cape Canaveral Space Force, which have been the place on Earth for the vehicles that have taken humanity to new heights. Even right here where we're seated today, as the administrator said, we're at the shuttle landing facility, which has supported decades of crew arrivals and crew returns, as we 1973, a picture from which is posted in my office. That's where my dream about NASA event, to celebrate the dedication, the innovation, determination, and inspiration that has allowed this agency to transform dreams into reality and ambition into achievement for more than 60 years. There's no better place to celebrate the triumphs of the past, and there's no better place to offer inspiration to the future than right here at Kennedy Space Center, and I'm excited to be a part of it. So thank you all.
We're also pleased to welcome Lori Grindle, Director of NASA's Aeronautics Division within the Research and Technology.
Well, good afternoon. When most people hear NASA, they think of America's space program, but we're also America's aeronautics research leader. At NASA, we don't just study flight, we redefine it. And every time you board a commercial jet, it's using technologies pioneered by NASA to our skies. Max Power is a chance to show the world NASA's leadership in aviation firsthand. And one of the ways we'll be doing that is by sharing what it's like to work with the world's best research aircraft. NASA's research fleet includes aircraft that operate anywhere from just above the ground all the way up to the upper edge of the atmosphere, and from a slow hover all the way up to Mach miles per hour. So this aircraft fleet is supported by the experts who keep them flying and the teams that use them to do amazing things. Each of our aircraft reflects a different aspect of NASA's mission. For example, you may know our F-15s and FA-18s as fighter jets, but at NASA, they allow us to perform research in high-speed, high-altitude environments. They can carry experimental hardware payload for 59 currently undergoing flight testing in California. And we also have them for the Freedom 250 event in their nice new livery. A few of them are doing that. And that's X-59, you can see that there. So, operating at altitudes above 99% of the Earth's atmosphere, the one behind us, that we've outfitted to test technologies like precision lunar landing systems. This gives us a practical way on the Earth to evaluate the technologies will be required to operate on the moon. And we'll need that data for our missions, including more groundbreaking innovation, as we continue to build the future of aviation. And Max Power is an opportunity to see some of the remarkable aircraft NASA's using to realize that future and allow you to share in the excitement of aviation.
A fifth-generation Floridian, former judge, former Florida Attorney General, and now U.S. Senator. Please welcome Senator Moody.
They said there were stairs. No one told me. It's all right. Well, you have heard we're inspiring, and I think we're all comforted knowing you are at the helms of your respective divisions. And I will say, in terms of NASA, Jared Isaacman and I have spent a lot of time talking about the need to keep America in first place of the next space race and how important that is for our nation. And I cannot tell you, substantively, this guy knows everything there is to know about making that happen, and he is energetic. I'm telling you, it's almost like he's got a bullhorn and he's yelling at everybody, we gotta stay ahead, we gotta stay ahead, we gotta stay ahead, and it's true. We're doing everything in our power to make sure that that happens by making sure we're having investment into Florida's Space Coast. We've already about NASA's role in leading in this space race. I want to talk about Florida's for a moment. As Florida's senator that represents the amazing Florida Space Coast, this is the launch pad of all space exploration. It has been. Florida is so proud of that. From the Mercury and Gemini missions to the Apollo missions to now the Artemis missions, the launches take place right here. And most Floridians don't even know that Florida's Space Coast launches 40. So when we talk about bringing together all of our assets to show off the max power of the United States of America in this space exploration and space race, it can be no other place than Florida's Space Coast, because we are leading the way for the rest of the nation in making sure that we win this race. I am so proud to be the senator that gets to help in this endeavor, to get to be here for this great announcement. As we are picking up our cadence in launches, just in the last decade, we now launch 500% more a year from Florida's Space Coast. We expect within the next decade, we're gonna see 500 launches every single year. That is amazing news for the United States of America, but it's great news for the economy and the people of the state of Florida. So thank you very much for sharing this news today. We're in it with you, and we cannot wait until November. Thanks so much.
There are stairs on this side if the next participants would like to use them. And next, please welcome Congressman Mike Herodopoulos, who represents Florida's 8th Congressional District. A longtime public servant who spent 12 years in the Florida legislature, Congressman Herodopoulos represents Kennedy Space Center in the U.S. House and chairs the Subcommittee on Space and Aeronautics.
Well, thank you so much. As Ashley said perfectly, the future of America is right here on the Space Coast. We could not be more excited about how things are literally taking off. And everyone in this room knows you can't be #1 on Earth if you're #2 in space and technology. It is so exciting. Experiments and on our way back to Moon and later Mars. We were not sure, but the state of Florida, led by Governor Scott, more recently Governor DeSantis, has stepped up like never before, work with our friends in Washington, D.C. to make sure that Florida stays that hub of not just activity, but where we reach for the stars. And to be perfectly clear of how committed we are in Washington, D.C. to make sure that Florida is that epicenter, we have not only put record funding forth for NASA, but we actually increased it further. We put almost $10 billion in the big bill passed last July because we wanted to make the investment necessary. And what's equally fascinating and exciting is that we have a leader at NASA today that has energized this place like never before. I just like to call him James Bond. The guy flies around in planes. That's pretty good, Jared. Well done, my friend. And also think about the sacrifice he's making. An incredibly successful person has said, I'm going to give back to my country. That's what's exciting about America today. We're bringing the best and the brightest right here to win the new space race, and we're thrilled about it. And finally, here in the district, let me just say a couple things. I know one of our local officials, including the mayor of Titusville, is here today. We're not just sands and beaches anymore and Disney. We are the economic superpower. And with that max power coming in, I've been to Farnborough, I've been to Paris. When they come to Florida, they're not going to go anywhere else. And I could not be more thrilled about it. I want to say thank you to Jared Isaacman and the entire team. You all bring an incredible new dynamism to this. And Ashley has done just a remarkable job, not only in bringing space bonds and making it a reality, but this.
Please also welcome Congressman Darren Soto, who represents Florida's 9th Congressional District. Now in his second decade of public service, Congressman Soto previously served in both chambers of the Florida legislature. Please welcome Congressman Soto.
Administrator Isaacman, Director Hughes, Director Grindell, what an incredible day, what an incredible announcement for America's 250th anniversary. 2026 has been a big year. We saw Artemis II launched just down the way there, and I was proud to be the only member of Congress who've seen both launches, both Artemis I and Space, highlighting American space leadership. In Florida's 9th Congressional District, over in Central Florida, the district right next door, we get to see launches twice a week from our backyard. But now this gives us another opportunity to view all these machines up close. And if you want to go beyond Mach 2, by the way, which I know that came up, UCF's hyperspace program is going to help us get there. And so thank you for the funding of that great program. Seeing NASA, Space Force, SpaceX, ULA, Blue Origin, all these great players come together to inspire the next generation of explorers, I find inspiring as well. And Artemis II will have a rendezvous with the moon lander, and eventually Artemis IV, a rendezvous with destiny. And so I'm excited as we make our journey back to the moon, to Mars and beyond, that we are supporting these efforts in Congress, and we must do it together. Thank you, everyone.
And finally, please welcome Congressman Byron Donalds, who has represented Florida's 19th Congressional District in the U.S. House since 2021. Before coming to Congress, Congressman Donalds served in the Florida legislature. Clearly, there's a theme today. Please welcome Congressman Donalds.
Your leadership here, but more importantly, we are excited to let the world know that Florida is going to be the home of commercial space and aerospace technology for the future, not just of the United States, but on this very planet. In Florida, we want to make sure that we are committed to making sure that our workforce, like was talked about by Congressman Soto and Congressman Haradopoulos, that our workforce is prepared for the future, whether that's engineering or whether that's the machinists, the contractors, the builders, the electricians, and the welders that are going to be a part of this great mission that's going to lead, not just aware of that in Florida, but the takeoff, the launch occurred here. All the launches, the vast majority are going to be here. And we look forward to I'm looking forward to Max Power. That's going to be a great event. See you guys.
Ask your questions, and we'll call on you, and then have our speakers that are here on stage able to answer questions.
All right, looking at on the ground in terms of NASA's new toys. Thanks.
So I am going to say I am equally excited and supportive of both the Thunderbirds and Blue Angels as America's premier demonstration teams. I'm new to politics, but I'm a quick learner here in all this. We're thrilled that Thunderbirds are going to be able to come and showcase their talents here at Kennedy Space Center during the Max Power event. I'm telling you, I'm excited about the whole thing. You're going to have Artemis experiences with the interested public, not to mention, again, a showcase of technology that's going to make its way to the lunar surface in the years ahead. So it's going to be really exciting, and yes, I will certainly be flying in Max Power. So, thank you. By the way, I also want to highlight, aside from the Max Power event that we've announced here, I think pretty exciting that the head of aeronautics within the NASA Research and Technology Mission Directorate announced a Mach 10 aircraft. A lot of people, I know you're excited. Well, he was. Roger would have been excited.
I'm just going to go ahead and pull the mic so that we can pass it between our...
air shows in the country. What's the idea?
Well, I feel reasonably confident with the contributions of the American aerospace industry, along with our partners and other agencies and DOW, that what we will create here at Kennedy Space Center will not have a competitor. But yes, certainly the idea is that this event, Max Power, becomes the first of many.
Hello, Max Evans for NASASpaceflight.com. I guess this can be for anybody. What can a NASA-hosted show like this provide over a show like Oshkosh, Farnborough, Paris?
Yeah, well, I'll start out just I have the microphone, and I happen to be a big fan of the Oshkosh show that takes place every year. I think you're talking very, very different intent and vibes from that type of event. That is absolutely the greatest fly-in in the world, and if you attended, you probably know it is. People are camping out, and it's much more of I would say, a social event from the general aviation community. What we're talking about here is America's premier expo to showcase the technology in aerospace of the future, and it happens to be alongside a great air show. So I don't think it has a competitor within the U.S., and I think if we do our job right, it won't have one either on the world stage.
I'd just add to that as the administrator said, those are great gatherings. They've obviously built quite a history and quite a reputation. But isn't it a shame when American companies have to go to Paris or England to announce the groundbreaking things they've done or are about to do? So we have an opportunity at this location, which happens to be an iconic part of NASA and the nation's history, to build something that, again, isn't just an air show, although that's cool, but has a real potential to rival them in its appeal to commercial partnerships.
Hi, Will Robinson Smith with Spaceflight Now. Thank you all for your time today. Thinking about the top line of this, can you give an overview of if NASA is going to be footing the bill entirely for this Air and Space show? What's the cost? And the administrator, you mentioned that it'll be around the time of rollout for the Artemis III wet dress. Is there any concern about the logistics from that happening sort of in concert with all the movement that's going to be happening with this Air and Space show? Thank you.
I certainly hope we have, to work some deconfliction issues between the event and Artemis III rollout in November. That would be fantastic. But I actually think if our timing works out, it will be a fantastic way to complement what should already be a rather extraordinary event. Now, this is not something that NASA is going to be footing the bill for in this. I mean, these type of events do happen around the world. They're sponsor-driven. We're making available this great real estate, no different than you would see at major events. Nellis has an air show, Andrews and others. But we'll be contributing a lot of our talent, and we'll be contributing some of our aircraft from the NASA portfolio, which we fly around at various events on they're certainly becoming normal course, and especially during America's 250th birthday.
I just add, I will take it as my own scolding, that our partners at Space Florida represent, so we talked a bit about the commercial partnerships that exist here and across NASA, but here in Florida, the partnership we have with Space Florida, part of our state's government, technically and officially they operate through an agreement to make sure that NASA and the federal taxpayer are not the payers of this bill.
Hi, thank you for doing this. Ken Kramer, Space Up Close. You mentioned Artemis III a couple of times. Can you, Jared, please give us an update? Where do these Pathfinder vehicles stand for Blue Origin and SpaceX now?
Artemis III next year. That's why we stepped into stacking operations. I had a chance to visit with the Blue Origin team earlier, walk the assembly line floor today, looking at components that will make their way into the Blue Origin test lander that we'll be rendezvousing and docking with. And I'll tell you, and I think if you spoke to Blue Origin, they would say the same thing. What we are going to learn from that mission, the amount of risk we're going to be able to bring down in advance of Artemis IV will be significant. In fact, so much so I think you couple that with the uncrewed landing demonstration, you're going to be very confident about what you're going to be able to achieve in, potentially in 2028. So they're moving very quickly. I tell you, we manage the schedule down to the day collectively. Every single component to the Artemis program, we manage down to the day and down to the hour. So from the enhancements to the SLS vehicle and Centaur, to the Orion readiness on this, to suit development, to our two different landers, we are paying very close attention to. And as I've said many times, the talent across NASA is driving outcomes alongside our partners. Now, with respect to SpaceX, I think what you're witnessing, you're seeing an increase in launch cadence, and that's critical. if they're able to launch again, in early September after their last launch and continue to track inside of a month, potentially every couple of weeks before the end of the year, we're going to feel very good about their timing to contribute to Artemis 3 next year. They've already started cutting hardware for that test vehicle. We track that every single day, so that's the test lander. So we're feeling very good about that, and I'd say the Artemis astronauts that have flown on their missions, that are getting ready to fly on the missions, and then you're going to have the Apollo astronauts here that were the Artemis missions, including very well. You might get a great view of Artemis 3 on its way out to 39B, but you'll also see a lot of the critical components for the moon base that we're building as well.
Thank you.
Pablo Fuente with Radio El Respeto on Orbita Infinita Maya. Question is for Administrator Isaacman.
In several of our remarks, hosting an event like this, just like a launch of Artemis 2 or Artemis 3, is a great way to inspire the next generation of talent to grow up and pick up pursue a degree path that's relevant to NASA or industries coming up. But I'd say we're not hosting the event necessarily to take talent away from others or so in industry. In fact, I think NASA, as I said many times, is at our best when we are doing what no company or agency tracks a lot of talent that's never in conflict with industry, but is opening up the solar system.
Follow along. Visit nasa.gov/maxpower. Again, nasa.gov/maxpower. Thank you all for joining us in person and tuning in to today's Max Power Expo event. We can't wait to see you in November.